All right, welcome everyone to the You Should Be Here, YSBH, Where Are They Now podcast. This is episode number 8. I'm your host, Brian Brown. Today we have one of my very best friends, and I have a very short list to call anybody that. But we're going to enjoy this conversation. Mr. Derron Walker, here we are. Thanks for being on, sir.
What's going on, Brian Brown? Thanks so much for having me. And what's going on, everybody? God bless you. Pray you guys are blessed out there.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is going to be a fun conversation. We developed a friendship over the last, gosh, it's been decade or so, and maybe even more than that. But one of the things that I always admired about you and appreciated about you is that you were persistent in pursuing being friends. And you've told me before, like sometimes I'm not the easiest person to crack, but I appreciate your persistence and I get a ton of value out of every single conversation that we have, and I believe that this one's going to be no different. So I just want to preface it and sincerely say thank you.
Well, I appreciate you being my brother. Yeah, man. You just been one of those dudes that I wanted to get to know. Love the way your mind works, the way you think, the way you love your family. And, one of the things that I've personally learned that gather other allies, leverage, serve. I wanted to, create a life where I can be surrounded by people that had the same morals, mentalities, but also is going to stretch me and, have different perspectives. And you're one of those dudes. So let's get it.
Right on. Let's do. Right, let's do. So we start with every episode just for giving listeners context because we have listeners from across the world. And I think most people who are in WorldVentures, know what you did, know who you are. But just for context, what was the highest rank that you achieved in WorldVentures?
International marketing director, if we're talking about rank in the company, but son of God, if we're talking about what happened in life, because WorldVentures, where I really gave my life to Christ. So,
yeah, maybe we can talk about that as the conversation evolved. IMD, International Marketing Director, the peak, the top, what everybody was shooting for. And whose team were you in?
I guess Wayne Nugent's down to, then under that, I guess Byron Schrog and whoever under that, and then Don Morton was my upline. But I do want to preference. I did not hit international marketing director by myself. I was, and I'm not being like humble or whatever. It's just the truth. I was surrounded by great leadership, team members, people that came around me. So we hit that rank for sure. I did not hit that by myself, alongside my wife. Even the people that didn't believe in us helped. But we did it definitely. When I look back, we did it surrounded by a lot of other people that had really, really great skill sets. You don't hit something like that alone. So I want to make sure that that's something that is preference. We hit it. I didn't.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. You guys did it in style, with passion, and I don't know what the word is, but you made waves. You made waves across the country and in the company, and you guys had a bigger impact than just hitting IMD, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit more as well. But do you remember the first time we met? I remember the first time we met, but I don't know if you recall the first time or one of the first times that we met. I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit. I can go first if you want.
Yeah, you go first. The first time, it was at an event, I'm sure.
It was at an event. I don't remember which event. They all blur together for me for the most part. Yeah. It was it was right in front of a stage. I want to say it was at a boot camp. I don't remember who introduced it to us. It was either Don or Byron. But you guys were pretty new. I think you may have been like maybe directors, maybe even not directors, but you were making some big waves in New York, and whoever was introducing us was like, yeah, these guys are, making some big waves and doing these kind of different things. And if I'm being honest about that moment, I'd heard that story like, I don't know how many times in the probably 5 or 6 years that we had been involved in that point. So it was like, hey, good to meet you, all these kind of different things. But I could tell that like you were just so hungry and like mission oriented and like you were just dead serious about this thing. There was something different about you for sure. That was the first time I remember meeting you and Sarah.
No, I thought you were gonna be like, yeah, and you said some real arrogant thing. I couldn't stand you. Uh, I don't remember. The beginning was definitely a blur, but I'm glad we met.
Yeah, yeah. So what you're saying is we weren't very impression we didn't make an impression on you. So
Oh,
noted, noted.
you were always a quiet guy anyway. Even
Yeah.
if I was introduced to you as Brian Brown, one of the guys, the guy that started the Rat Pack in that time, I probably, I don't know. I was laser focused. The circumstance and situation that I was in, and the mentality that I was in, had me to the point where I was just laser focused on opportunity, and I finally felt that desire in my heart at that time. And also, it was backed by. I'll be honest. I was, I was angry for success. I had gotten laid off from a job, and I didn't like it. I didn't like my circumstance, so I was investigating, and at the same time, inspired by learning personal development for the first time, and this, that, and the third. And I had never been in a situation where you were getting recognized and things like that. So I was just trying to soak it all in. It was a lot at the time. So some
Yeah.
of it has been singed away, but some lessons still burn in the heart, though, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got started by infamously swiping your mother's credit card when she was sleeping, if I remember that story correctly.
Yes.
And you guys went on a tear very early on. What gave you the confidence to do that and then really go for it early on?
Yeah, well, it wasn't confidence. I'm telling you, I was angry. So when I look back now, actually, I was, teaching a community in a speaking setting. Maybe it was yesterday actually, and I was talking about the question that I posed was, what was what was the significant thing in your life that changed it all? And honestly, there are a few areas in my life, and if anyone just stopped and really thought about their lives seriously, practically, and just took a step back, everyone knows that they would realize there's probably 2 to 5 circumstances, situations in their lives that changed. So one was March 3rd, 2012, when I got laid off from working with 13 to 17-year-old mental health. Two was September 2020, when we got when the company went out of business, and that was a significant change in my life, where I mean something happened where a significant change, not just, oh, I'm sad or something like that, but a move had to be made that has now been a foundational part of who you are today. So getting laid off, the company going out of business, and then my father passing away, going to be with the Lord September 5th, a couple of years ago. So those 3 things. So the reason why I bring that up is because one of those times was getting laid off, working a job with 13 to 17-year-old mental health. And so when I was going at WV in the beginning, it was really based off of, the audacity of the disrespect that I felt. I went to school, I got grades, got a good job, stayed out of trouble the best of my ability. And that's when I really became employable, meaning that I just knew I wasn't going to work a traditional job for anyone else ever again. I didn't like the feeling of another man or woman just being able to tell me, you didn't do anything, it wasn't you, but we no longer need your services, so we're just going to let you go. I was 26 at the time, but I watched adults, people with mortgages, homes, mortgages, children debt, get laid off the same day as me, and then they tried to rehire everybody back because there was a company bought out the hospital I was working out. They tried to
Uh,
rehire everyone back at $14.50, and I remember how that felt, and I knew I never wanted to feel that way again. And so, what helped me be driven past what most people struggled with in the beginning, which is the emotion part, and the ability to take direction well, was I was angry for success.
that's fascinating.
Mm.
How long were you angry for success? How far did that get you? And then was there something else that got you to the next level?
Still am, bro. I think
Fair
I
enough.
still it's different. It's different. It's completely different, and maybe we'll get into it. But the man I am today, I mean, my faith is paramount. My relationship with Christ is number one. Um, Jesus completely changed my life, and I'm not on here to, that's just the truth. So my purpose and my story is different because of that. But the angle in which I'm not angry for righteousness, however, I am completely focused on the mission at hand, which right now is to further the kingdom and glorify the Lord through my giftings. But then as well, first it was getting myself and my girlfriend at the time, and now wife, out of the circumstances, situations that we were in. Then I was realizing that a lot of people were suffering in silence. They weren't willing to throw their heart over the bar one more time because they had been let down so many times. Some people have forgotten what it was um, to strive for something past what they could see, and some people were just addicted to distractions. And I tell people right now that I work with is that addiction to distraction is the death of your creative productivity. We are put on this planet to create, connect, and contribute. But when a person is bogged down by bills, bogged down by family life, bogged down by their situation, they lose that ability to do what Christ, the Lord, has called us to do, which is to create. He made us in his image and his likeness. And so people stop creating, they stop dreaming, they stop believing. And that was me. And then, when I got laid off, it put me into a position where I've learned that people are physically motivated, Brian, but they're mentally lazy. So they will stay in a situation and work a job or work a situation, but they won't use their minds to grow. And so I remember that when I got laid off, I didn't have the understanding that I do, but the burning in my heart right now to provide for my family and my wife, to be a vessel for the Lord, a conduit for the Lord, it still burns kind of the same, but just differently.
Yeah. Yeah. I have so many memories of you throughout World Ventures. And I think a lot of other people do too. Just because like you just had iconic moments. You really did. Like I remember the first time you trained on like the big stage when you had the blue jersey on. I don't remember what event that was, but like you were like you were like the talk of the entire event across the company. And I don't think you had been named like an official international trainer at that point.
I,
Um,
I don't think I was ever officially named an international trainer.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Anyways, I so many really cool memories that I have, and you guys, you just did stuff at a way that was just so impactful. Like I remember, just for instance, we flew out to Denver to do a Super Saturday, and I think we had 1,000 plus people there, something close to that. And you literally did like live calls on stage, and we're like, "Who is this guy doing this crazy stuff?" And like it's working, and like you just had this level of confidence is the way that I perceived it. It was like this guy's he just is willing to say stuff and then do it and then fall through on it and then do it in a cool way. So what was some of the highlights for you in World Ventures? You got to do some pretty cool things.
Oh man,
Is there one or two that like really stick out to you? Like
bro.
it was worth me doing all these things for these moments.
I don't. That's a great question. Some of the highlights. Oh man, there's. I would say that there's too many. Not that I was iconic, but iconic things, and they weren't just like, obviously, I proposed to my wife on stage when we were recognized, us and our team were recognized for IMD. But I mean, some of the best highlights, bro, were just watching people believe in themselves again, watching people win, even if it was just like getting their wings, sleeping on someone's floor or their couch when, um, you know, uh, when they just were starting out. I honestly, like, there were some really great things. I was able to, get into some leadership rooms and learn a lot of things that have helped me now. But man, some of the highlights, bro, were just watching people believe that they had a purpose more than just going to school, getting good grades, and getting a good job one more time. And there's literally, I'm not even joking, hundreds of those times that I was personally blessed to be a part of, and so many more that I wasn't. So, hindsight now, looking back, World Ventures was a vehicle, a company. I'm grateful for it, but it was nothing more, because without the people, it wouldn't have been what it became. And I think one of the things when it went out of business that I really learned, and that's why I've been able to, my wife and I, been able to build another business and build it essentially more successfully at what we're doing now than we did, is because we realized it was never the company, it was always the people. And so some of the most iconic moments were, getting to know you, getting to know people, even people that I don't talk to today, even people that, aren't too fond of me. I hope there's less of those than there are, people hit me up like on social media or stuff now, like, bro, you took a, like, you really have to use the bathroom or something. And you looked me in my eyes and told me that I belonged here or something like that. Like, bro, I'm just so grateful, because it was like a blur, especially at the events. And so I'm just like praying, Lord, I just really hope that I never thought that I was bigger or better than anyone, because I don't. And some of the best moments, bro, was just watching people, earn some money, pay for something, or go, man. Our team, one of the things we did the best, I think, and it wasn't really me, it was my wife and a bunch of leaders. We went on these Empire Global team trips, and I think, watching people have their first stamp on their passport, watching people bring their loved ones, their moms, their dads, propose, get married on some of these trips. And if you know me, and people that know me, I've always been an introverted type of, like, I can speak on stage, but it never really felt really comfortable. I really don't really like the limelight, and definitely don't like being around that many people at once. It's not that I don't like being around people, but I just kind of get, still to this day, get kind of anxious. It's like too many people to talk to, like too many questions. One person asked me something, like, yeah, man, get out of here, bro. Like, I just need a smaller group to really be able to focus. So we would have, I think the biggest trip we had is 750, maybe 800 people on our team.
Yeah, that's a big
Like,
deal.
at some of these trips, and some of these people going out there, and like each year they were waiting on this trip to be able to go, enjoy themselves. But the culture that was created, people weren't getting in trouble, they weren't drinking themselves stupid, they were respectful, they cared about one another, they really family shipped. And that's why we, my wife and I coined that word, family ship, because that's what we had created. And those were the most iconic moments. I would trade the rings, the ranks, all of that for the opportunity to watch people just believe one more time. You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you.
We pause this episode to remind you that this podcast is sponsored by the Be Connected newsletter. If you're a parent who wants to make the most of your time with your kids while they're still young, while also setting them up for a bright future, then subscribe to the Be Connected newsletter so that you can be connected with the most relevant ideas, products, and experiences for your family. That's beconnected.co, BCONNECTD.co. Subscribe for free today and get access to candid reviews on the things that you never knew that you needed for your family. Now back to the show.
By the way, family ship, that word was used a lot on stage after you started using it. I remember I remember talking to you one time. I'm like, does nobody remember that it was you that, coined that phrase, family ship? That's a Derron Walker patented, copyrighted phrase, that a lot of people use. You had a lot of really good, like, sayings and one-liners and all this kind of stuff that people really picked up. And you had a big impact on the company in a number of different ways. I want to get to that in a second, but I want to ask a question that I don't think I've asked anybody else is, was there any part of getting to IMD, it's like, here I'm at IMD, was there any part that was like, maybe this isn't all that I thought it would be? Was there any kind of letdown? Was there any kind of downside? Was there any kind of thing that was a missed expectation once you hit it of what you thought it would be like, if that makes sense?
Yes, 100%. But it wouldn't. That's a great question, by the way. But it's not like how you think. as soon as I hit IMD, as soon as we hit IMD, my first thought wholeheartedly and the real inspiration to go hit it was to go back and get my team and have them believe I was the lid, so I wanted my team to see someone like me, someone that they knew, someone that they loved and that loved them, believe that they could too. And I just knew that there was tons of people all over the country, all over the world that were hitting the rank, but they needed to see someone they knew because they wanted to believe, but they didn't believe. And so I wanted to do it because of that. But I'm going to be honest with you. When I hit IMD, I thought that IMD would solve problems that no rank or money could solve. And this is really what honestly had me start looking at faith. Um, because, first, when we got laid off, it's like, we got to get out of my mom's basement. We got to earn money. Like, I don't have a job. I don't have a way to make money. So that was the motive. But then once we started making, a certain amount of money, we were making more essentially than we needed. We were investing our money back into the company, but we weren't struggling like that. At least myself and my wife didn't have to work. We were working the business, which we got to keep working the business, but we didn't have to just do a traditional job. But the void that was in my heart, I didn't realize that it wasn't just a financial thing. It was man, now that I really think about it, it was a purpose thing. It was why am I on? What am I here to do? Like, I didn't know how to explain it. And I didn't know what it was, but it was like, am I here to and that's kind of always how I've been. The Lord created me as He created many other people. I'm an artist, bro. I'm a musician, but not like a musician. I whether it's leading my wife, raising our children, I need communing with people, learning, growing. I get to choose to love to be a part of something that is purposeful, that is going to make an impact in myself and my surroundings. If it's not going to make impact, I don't see the purpose of being in it. And so when I hit IMD, it was great, but then I realized, no matter how much money I made, there was still something missing. And I didn't tell anyone because I had then had to kind of live this life, not pretending, but essentially being this man that I told everyone, hey, let's go here. And then I got there and I was like, why am I still grateful but not happy? I'm not happy. I wasn't like sad. I'm grateful. I love what I was doing, but I wasn't fulfilled. I was like, okay, I thought, it would be kind of like what some of the top leaders said from stage, and maybe it was for them. And so that's when around 2017, 2018, I started to say, okay, let me seek out what this whole Jesus guy is about. And long story short, I'll tell you this, bro. What I was seeking, I found in Jesus Christ. I was seeking a love. I was seeking, something way bigger than myself, but I didn't know it. And, maybe people find that in other things, but I found that in Jesus.
Yeah. You were atheist before, right?
I guess if you look at all the words, agnostic, I knew there was something out there, but I didn't believe in the death, burial. Honestly, the one thing, because I grew up in a Baptist Christian, the thing that's funny to me is that I was just like, Mary had a baby without having sex with Joseph. Nah, that's why. I was just like, get out of here. I wasn't a hater.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a believer. But then I realized now there's still some things in the Bible that I don't fully understand. But yeah, when you have the all-powerful, the uncreated, the Holy of Holies, He who knew no sin, who became sin for us, that we may not perish, there are some things that maybe our finite minds just won't get. But it's there if you want to find it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think a lot of people try to find happiness in all these other places. happiness, fulfillment, whatever you want to fill in the blank there. But it seems, yeah, um, it seems like that just doesn't happen. You get all these different things. Sarah and I
Well,
never hit. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sarah and I never hit IMD. NMD is what we got to, but like we definitely idolized IMD. And looking back on it, I think that was one of the big mistakes that we personally made.
Well, I mean, that's an easy mistake to make in a world that, I understand why some of the top leaders did it the way, but they were very masterful at, sharing the vision, painting the picture, creating the enemy, which is the world, which essentially there are some parts of that is very true, but making it be about hitting this thing and kind of pulling the carrot far enough that, when you got your blinders on, like a horse in New York City, it's all you kind of see. And there's so many things that I'm grateful for that I learned, that focus and that drive and those lessons. I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned is that if you don't go all in on something and get to a certain level, you'll never know what you don't want to do. So going to IMD taught me, okay, here's what I don't want to do anymore. Here's the type of man I don't want to be. Here's the type of person I don't want to be seen as anymore. Really, what it comes down to is, what is your identity? So people, created their identity and still do in companies, in ranks, in status. But my identity is in Jesus Christ. It took me a while to get that, but that's why I was chasing after those things that I associated myself, wearing the rings and wearing the chain and being able to sit in a certain seat. Those things feel good, but they all pass away. And they won't fill a person to the degree of what they really want. And see, this is what I learned about the enemy. The enemy will give good feeling. He will give things to you. Good things happen to you, and it can be given by the enemy, but it's all a lie, because you and I have an inheritance in Jesus Christ that is way beyond anything that this world can give me. But the world, what it'll do is give you enough to keep you happy but not fulfilled, you know, always seeking more. It's like an all you can eat buffet. But the thing about it is, after you eat from it, you never feel good and you're always still hungry. That's what it felt like.
There you go. There you go. I mean, this could be literally a 6 or 7 hour conversation if we like went to each topic and talked about different things that happen and things like that. I want to fast forward a little bit towards the end of WorldVentures, because there was that time where, at what time, 2016, 17, where stuff started kind of going backwards and they started cutting cycles and paychecks got delayed and all those kind of different things. But you went on a mission with it was the fly tour with a lot of that group on a bus traveling around to see what you could do to save things. And the way that I remember it is you took you your title was here, but your level of leadership was here, meaning there was other IMDs, double IMDs, that to me, you just took things to the next level and you influenced a lot of the top people, including executives, to think about things differently, to see what we could do to save the thing. I remember that very distinctly. At least that's the way that I saw it. What do you remember about that time?
Yeah, I remember that it was a hard time for a lot of people. And I think, one of the reasons, to keep it 100, when you asked me about this podcast, I was hesitant. And I was a few times, because I was just like, I'm over the time and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of people really did get hurt by, and such is life, things happen. But, people really invested a lot of time, effort, and money in building that company. And when it didn't go the way that people expected it to, and some people did things, I think, a way that they could have chosen a different way or just shouldn't have done some things. And so the time was tough, but I'll just tell you right now, I'm just telling you, I was further back in my faith walk at this time. But I tell you something that my pastor told me a while ago, which is, faith alone can save, but saving faith is never alone. And so when I learned about that, like I had faith, but I'll just tell you now that I look at it, there are different gifts that I believe that the Holy Spirit gives. And I tell you right now, Brian, it'd be cool if I could tell you that I was faithful. At the time, my wife was pregnant with our first child, I believe. Yes, it was
Kingston, yes, right around that time. Yeah.
yeah. So I was away from her and I was away from my team. My team, like in that time, all this stuff, all I could tell them was, I love you, just trust me. And that was it. And then, shout out to them because they definitely did that for as long as they could. What can they do when a company goes out of business? But they did, had a lot of strong leadership, just have my back and, just want to believe. And a lot of people around the company. But I just tell you, like, I believe the Lord used that time for me personally. I call it the MPM, Marketplace Ministry. I'm not saying World Ventures at all was, a ministry in the sense, but I mean, it is a ministry, when you look like when you're shepherding people. And again, my faith, I was a believer, but just not at the level of faith that I have now and understanding and yielding to the Lord. But I believe that the Lord gave me the gift of faith, bro. Like it wasn't some inspiration or motivation, it wasn't a money thing. I just believed that if we could figure the thing out, we could help people not fall out the bottom and lose the things that they've built or what they're trying to build. And so I'm grateful that he gave me that. Didn't work out the way that we thought we wanted it to. However, I learned so much as a man, as a leader, as a person, as a shepherd, as a sheep. I learned so much that I still implement in my life. One of the things is it's never I can't, it's how can I, even though the company, we like one of the things that I learned is that your circumstance does not predicate how the situation is going to turn out. What predicates that is who you are during the time that there is a circumstance. And I think a lot of people in those hard times, they just want to do what most people do is, this looks like it's not good. Let me bounce. But the Lord gave me favor and faith, bro. And we just gave it all we could. That's
Yeah,
it.
you definitely did. You definitely did. John Maxwell, leadership expert, author, always talks about leadership is not a title, leadership is influence. And I've to this day not seen anybody create that and have that level of influence that didn't have the same title. Yes, you were IMD, but you weren't double IMD, you weren't triple IMD, you weren't a company executive, you weren't somebody that had been there since day one. And that was just really cool to see. So I wanted to ask that question about that time.
Yeah.
What was and then I want to talk about what you're doing now because your transition was very fascinating to me, and it's cool the impact that you're making now and at the level that you're doing it. And it's something that has some similarities, but also very different. You're not you're not building a downline right now,
No,
at least to my knowledge.
no, 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 I am not building a downline,
Okay.
and that's my choice for sure.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that. But let's talk about first, how did it feel when you heard that company was going out of business? There's going to be no more World Ventures. Like at that point, you had all this faith, you put in all this effort, energy, resources, and then it was like it's not going to happen anymore. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Well, the company going out of business wasn't nearly as painful, and there's a reason why. I'll get back to it. That wasn't nearly as painful as watching my people and my personal team and people across the country suffer because the company wasn't paying people the money that they had earned and that they were depending on, as well as they weren't being truthful with when the payment was going to come. So people were
Yeah.
waiting on money to come and believing, but losing homes, losing cars, just being stressed, not knowing what to do. And we all know when there's pressure and stress and hardship, it's tough for people to keep it together. So because I remember talking to an executive and this person had told me, listen, things are not going to completely fall underneath. And we all know that the company went from, WV into Secret Direct. It wasn't a smooth transition, but there was a place to land. So the company going out of business, I knew it wasn't going to completely just go away, even if it didn't look the way that we had anticipated it to look. But the pain was, especially like that last Christmas in 2020, that last Thanksgiving through Christmas, people were waiting on, money to come. But it never was going to come it never did from me and people that I know, but they were telling us, hey, it's going to come. This is the date. It's going to come this date, then this date, then this date. And never just did. And so I think the pain was in people not being honest at the end. They just weren't being truthful. And it's interesting because it kind of circled back. I was like, wait a second. Why do I feel the same way I felt March 3rd, 2012, except for that I'm way worse. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, this is what I said I never wanted to experience again. But bro, God had a plan though. He really did, because I'm grateful I wouldn't be the man I am today if the lessons weren't had the way that they were had. I needed to learn those lessons. I needed to learn what it felt like to lose, for people to blame you for something that you really had nothing to do with. And then not even say, well, I had nothing to do with that. Just be like, I'm sorry it's working out that way. I wanted to take ownership, because some of the people did, follow me as I followed others. And it just, in life, things don't work out, but that's not an excuse. It just didn't go the way that we anticipated, and it was hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well said. When did you decide to stop building and decide to transition to something else?
I'll make this as quick as I can,
because I want to hear more about what you're doing now. So yeah,
we're in secret, and some of the leaders set up this leadership trip. It was to the Bahamas, and I don't really know too much about it, but I'm promoting my team to it. Trying to get back to normal. I go to this trip. It's my first time to the Bahamas. No, second time. When I was in high school. So second time, but first time I was an adult. And we get out there, and it is, long story short, not together. The host that was supposed to set things up didn't even come. Then I remember I was in the car, the shuttle I didn't even know where I was staying. I was just like, we're going. I booked it. I promoted it. I'm going to be there, the leader. Let's go. I'm on the way, and someone that's in my car that knows way more about the trip, it's just a rep. They're just like, we're supposed to be staying there. And it's like, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a good place. Like, we're driving past it, and the driver's like, no, you guys are staying over there. Now it's on the, I guess on the property, but we're talking from majors to minors, from A League to D League. It's from the NBA to the D League, bro. It's like, they put us in these like timeshare places, and the host that was supposed to be there knew, but no one else did. So we get there, and it is this train wreck of an event. And it wasn't even that. It wasn't that changed. You were there.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there. Didn't you
get my vow renewals there?
Yeah,
10-year vow renewals, yeah.
Led me to that. You were there. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. But in the back of my heart, though, on that trip, I knew that the love that I once had to serve people the way that I was gone. And it had nothing to do with rank or money or people leaving my team or things people were saying. And that's when I realized that it was never about the company. It was all about people. I still have, like I do today, have a burning desire to serve other people and help people that want to be served and want to be led, want to grow into who they're called to be. And that's what I'm doing now in a business. But the vehicle, which was network marketing per se, and having to invite someone to then tell them about a company that wasn't mine, to then sell that product, to then have them be able to earn money and lead it and grow it. Like, my heart I didn't have that fire that you met me with. It was just gone. And I realized I had to ask myself, am I here out of inspiration or obligation? And I was there out of obligation. I was there because I felt like people thought I was supposed to be there, and I was seen as a leader. But so I was in my, not hiding, but hanging in my hotel room quite a bit. Because every time I went, someone was just trying to ask me, like, what's going on? And I really had nothing to do with it. I was there to lead, but some of the people that put it together weren't even there. I'm like, bro, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So I have been introduced to a young man that's a brother and a mentor now that was teaching people how to turn the skill sets that they had into online businesses. And I had a call scheduled with him while I was there. Like, I was going to talk to him, but it was then on that trip that I had that conversation, and I made the decision to join a mastermind to learn how to actually mine the skill set that I learned in all these years and thousands of dollars of personal development, all stuff, but to become cognitively competent, take what I learned, then position it in another phase to be able to build something that suited who God was calling me to be. And it was that moment that I decided to do that.
What was your low point? Was there a low point after that? It wasn't just like, boom, got the call. Now I'm rocking this new business. Do you have any low points in between the two?
I didn't think I had but thank God for my wife and, like, my kids. Like, because at that time, my wife was pregnant, I'm pretty sure, with our second child. So it was more so like, I will tell you, there wasn't a low point, but there was fear. I'm thinking about it. I'm asking myself, well, am I a one-hit wonder? Is the success that I had over here, am I going to be able to do that anywhere? But that's when I really started to realize. I literally, long story short, called my pastor. I called my pastor from the Bahamas, and I told him everything. I'm like, listen, I'm about to talk to this guy. It was $25K to join this mastermind, which I didn't have. I had to borrow a little bit / use the rest of what I had. And my pastor, he's one of those guys. He's a brother of mine now. Like, I love this guy. And he said, he goes, you call this person and you're calling them for answers. Like, I need an answer right now. And you're quiet because I'm praying. My hands are sweaty. They're cold. I'm like, all right, you got to tell me something right now. And he goes, hits me with this crazy wisdom. He's like, Derron, I don't have an answer for you. I'm like, hey, man, bro, this call is collect, bro. Like, what? You better, what? Hey, there's 31,102 scriptures, 32,102 scriptures in the Bible. You better go Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Go
Something Acts. For me.
Where is it? And he's like, he goes, I don't have an answer for you. But see, great leaders don't answer questions. They ask great questions. And he said, Derron, I don't have an answer, but I'll tell you this. He said, God knows your heart. He says, do you desire to help people in a different way? And I was like, yeah. He said, well, the Lord knows your heart. And if there's a door, walk through it. If it's the Lord, he'll open it and keep it open. If it's not, he'll close it. And he's like, that's the best I can tell you. And I was like, bro, all the fear and doubt just left me. It was gone. Just like that. Really? I called you back. I was like, I'm in. I came home September 2021. I started the business, and with my wife, just like started from scratch. And this coming end of August, September will be 4 years.
Wow. What's the business? Tell us what you do.
So I right now run a company that we launched called Be Iconic World. And we started as an 8 to 10 week course teaching people how to realize, desire, discover their icon within, basically helping people with not information but transformation. But that scaled up to a mastermind where we look for people who want to make income by being themselves for a living while impacting the people they were called to impact through their story, through their gifting, through their testimony. Because what I learned is that people have a story.
Mm-hmm.
They have a testimony, they have a witness. And most people out there want to learn from someone who has experience. They've been through a divorce. They've lost someone in their life. They know how to cook. They're a single mom, a single dad. They're a married couple doing well. They're a Christian family. They want to be an author or whatever it is. And they have these testimonies, these stories, and they're impactful. And if people had known it and they know about it, they would be able to not only just impact people like we were doing in these companies. We were impacting people with their story, but we were getting paid to sell memberships, not paid to impact people through our story. You impacted people through your story, but in order to do that, you needed to buy a membership for this company and then sell other memberships.
Yep.
And so I realized, what if I helped someone not have to join a company and sell a membership to get to the calling that they desire? Now, I want to make this big preference because I know this is a podcast. People are going to be listening to it, especially from people from the network marketing background. I am so grateful and still love and support the network marketing industry, the people in the industry. It helped me, the personal development industry. Now, we all know that there's people that don't do it well and have an agenda. I'm talking about the good guys, the people that actually care about people, and this is what we do in our mastermind when we say this: we use money to build people. We don't use people to make money. And I'm a huge fan of the industry. I'm still a part of a company. I just don't build a company. However, through my life and my personal experience, I realized that I didn't want to have to go build a company, especially going to tell people about something. I wanted to be able to use my gifting that people will come to me like, yo, will you show me how to do that? So a 12-month mastermind where we teach people how to take the gifting, the story that they have, formulate it into a podcast, an online business, a book, something that is tangible for them, that they can be themselves for a living. Now, it's not like sit back, I'm just me, let's go make money. There is a scaling process, a growing process. Just because you have a story doesn't mean someone's going to pay you to learn. Like, people don't just pay me. People that pay me now or that followed me then is because I put in hours and hours of focused work, personal development, stopped hanging out with people that weren't serving the purpose that God put on my heart, stopped doing the things that wasn't serving the purpose God put on my heart, and willing to grow. Not an intention person, an implementation person. They're two different people.
Yeah.
People that really tired of what the world is handing them. And I'm able to do that and been blessed to do it because it's literally, I'm teaching my life. And that's what I wanted to do. Years ago, I was like, yo, how can I get paid to be the best version of Derron Walker, in the sense that I get to choose to love to grow, but I'm a human being, not a human doing. The problem is people are doing things, but it doesn't fulfill them, and they're not growing to who they were called to be. And they can look the same, but they are different. So we launched this 8-week course that turned into a mastermind. Right now, we've got about 50 clients that are active in there. We're actually starting a new master class with this same group on February 10th. And I do these 2-day virtual events probably once a quarter, a little bit more. Got a small team that I work with that helps us do the things. And now I'm able to focus on the things that really matter: ministry, my relationship with the Lord, my wife, my health, my 4 beautiful children. I got 4 kids, bro. I can't even believe it. Kingston, Faith, Zeal, and Praise. We're blessed. And man,
sure.
Yeah, it's wild. So we've been doing that for 3.5 years. It's been an absolute blessing, bro. I'm so grateful. It's, I'm very grateful, humbled, always got my eyes and my ears open to how I can grow and get better and how I can serve people. But the Lord has definitely blessed us.
Yeah, for sure. It's been fun to watch, and building what you've built it's no small feat to make that kind of transition, to make those commitments and leaps of faith to do that and develop something from scratch. It's a really, really big deal. We'll put the links to what you just talked about, the 2-day virtuals. We'll put those in the description, and then any other relevant links to people that want to find out more about what you do and how they could potentially participate. We'll put those in the show notes for sure. What kind of person do you typically work with now? What kind of person comes to you and says, yeah, I want to be part of this mastermind. I want to figure out how to take my story and make money with it and take it online and, have this transformation?
It's usually people that have some source of income, but it's not something that they desire to do. They know there's more. It's usually someone that has been through at least a little bit, some sort of personal development, either from a network marketing background or they know how to learn and they desire to learn. Naturally, it's not limited to, but naturally, men and women. I see it's probably mostly women in the mastermind. I would say like 60-40, 70-30 women. You know, women though straight up they're more confident than men are to tell somebody else when they're not doing well, myself included. They just are. Women are able to be like, you know what, this isn't working and I want to change. So what can I do? Men just
Interesting.
figure it out on their own. They just do.
Yeah, lone wolves.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's people that believe that there's more to them than just what the world tells them. And people that want to build a business, they want to build something, they want to they want to be able to teach, or even some people like, oh, can I really teach? You can, if you want to. And people that believe that their story is powerful, they just need help formulating, how can I do this? How can I take most people like, what, someone would pay me to share my story? Well, if you put the best version of you in a bottle and put it on the shelf of Amazon, what would you be selling? And if you knew how to do that, especially today, people don't trust these companies and organizations out there because they've seen that these companies don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
They'll trust a person that has a sense of influence, a person that has a story and that's going to share that story. But the problem is, Brian, people don't purchase your purpose, and that's one of the things I see a mistake in network marketing. It's like, yo, come join me because this is my purpose. People don't purchase your purpose; they purchase your story. But people don't know how to share their story well enough that someone will be like, yo, I want to learn how to do that. In fact, I would pay you if you taught me how. We teach them how to really create, connect, contribute, walk in that calling, and do it in a way. And this is really important. Maybe one of the last things we talk about, because it was so significantly important to me. I did this wrong before. And what the difference is, I've built my life around a business. I didn't build my business around my life. Right. So now the business is a part of my life, but it is not my life. My life is my relationship with Christ. My life is my relationship with my wife, my children, being available, not just like, oh, when I get home, like being available. When I'm done with you, I'm going to go get on the trampoline and play with my kids. When I go to Africa to do some ministry work in March, I'll still be teaching. We set it up. It's not perfect. We still got work to do, and we definitely fall short. But because of his glory, he's putting us in a position that now, before, my life was the business and life wrapped around with everything. I got to be on this call. I got to be here. I got to. Now it's we've built a life that the business fits in, and not a business that the life fits in.
Huge difference.
Huge difference. Life changing, bro. And
Yeah.
that's what we teach people how to do if they desire that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think a lot of people want that. Both people that are W-2 employees, people that are business owners, traditional business owners, and people that are still in the industry. Because, yeah, man, having your phone on you 24/7, waiting for that three-way call or whatever the case is, or, I don't know how common that is anymore, but yes.
That's from people that I talk to. And again, I love my brothers and sisters that are going to get it. And a lot of them also love community. But
Yeah.
I'm talking about people that actually want to make money and have community. And build something that's theirs and not someone else's. And you can do both. You can I'm not even talking about network marketing. You can figure out a way, though. It was important to me to build something that I can say, really, the company belongs to the Lord. I've just changed as a man. I want to be a great steward. None of it belongs to me anyway. None of this. And you can't take any of this. Brian, I know we don't have that much time, but before we do, I definitely, if you're going to either, I'll do it now or you can tell me, but I want to really tell people,
Yeah, please do.
not that anything we talk about is not the truth. Okay. But the truth is this, bro. And this is just what I've personally learned, that if all the things that I've been able to personally do and do with teams is amazing, I'm grateful. But it all falls short to what's to come if someone doesn't know how to, or what's coming, which is people are either going to heaven or they're going to hell. And I want to use my life. I'm using my life to glorify the King, glorify the Lord. And that's what I'm using my life to do. I'm using my life to do that at the highest level because I just learned, oh man, 2 Corinthians 5:10 says to be absent of the body is to be present with the Lord. I know when my father passed away that he's a believer. So his last breath here was his first breath there. And he's my dad. He couldn't take anything that he did here there. So the analogy that helps me understand is imagine that you build on this planet. You build a business, you build all these things on this planet, and it is great. Okay? You build all the things on this planet, and it's great. However, like let's say that this planet is a college, but when this planet either passes away or the Lord comes, whatever happens first, you are going to go to a place and it's either heaven or hell. And I'm going to heaven because I believe in the death, the burial, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, right? And so I believe there's going to be a big rude awakening that people are building for this world and not realizing that when it's time to go to this next place, which is heaven, the credits that they've built here won't transfer over. So I learned this: the more heavenly minded you are, the earthly good you become. I was doing it backwards. I was trying to become earthly good to be heavenly minded. I'm building for things that are not of this world because I know when this world passes away, I'm just telling you, man, go read the Bible, what is to come in heaven or hell. Not only do I want to lead myself, but I want to lead my family to a place that will outlast what we do here because this world is going to pass away. So don't get distracted, y'all. Don't take my word for it. You don't got to believe me. Go do your own research. I pray that you guys that are out there are blessed. Brian, I can't even tell you how much I just appreciate you as a friend. This is more just a conversation with you. But Jesus is alive, bro, and he changed my life. And I pray that people learn the truth and we'll one day spend eternity with each other, bro.
Strong final words. Appreciate you, Derron. Appreciate you being on. Appreciate your friendship and just who you are, how you operate. Powerful stuff. So thank you. And excited to see what the future holds. So thank you, my friend. Talk soon.
God bless you, man.